All right, I'm not going to explain it. You can figure it out. This is this. Yep. All right, we're going to review some scope, and we're going to understand how to use this, which is a keyword, a bit more. All right, here we are. We got some code. Will this work? Can I do it? Note that I'm declaring I here. I'm declaring I here, and it's in this method, my method. Will that work? Wait a minute. What's scope? You forgot scope. You tell me we're going to learn scope, and then you don't tell me what scope is. Well, scope is that space that's around you. It's where you're in. It's that thing you want to consider. Now, that space around you and the time around you is malleable. I believe that that Albert Einstein had proved some wonderful things about space-time continuum, and I'd love to explain that to you right now, but that's a little out of scope. When I'm in my house, I can say the name Bruno, Bruno, come here. And everyone in my house knows that I'm talking about my dog, whose name is Bruno. I'm not talking about Bruno Mars, because Bruno Mars is in a different scope. So in my scope, I know that my dog will come to me when I say Bruno. Actually, he never does. Lousy dog. All right, so back to this thing. Do you remember where we were? I asked you if this would work, and the answer is yes, it will work. Hey, wait, I'm declaring I here twice in the same method. That's because the scope of I lives within this curly brace right here and this one. It's within the for loop, okay? It's within this for loop. When I come down to here, this I goes out of scope. I have no knowledge, or the compiler has no knowledge of this I anymore whatsoever, completely separate. All right, can I do this? Mr. Stride, will you please explain what we're looking at? Look, I'm declaring I here. It's in the for loop. And then in another for loop, I declared another I. Kind of the same as before, only this time it's nested. Will this work? No, it's not okay, because this I, this outer loop, the scope is all the way in within this, all the way to the end of it. It's all the way down to here. So inside of here, I is still inside, is still in scope. So in this for loop, I is already declared. The variable won't, you can't redeclare it. Not going to work. Okay? How about this one? Is this okay? Mr. Stride, point out what I'm looking at again. You're going too fast. This method here, I declare the formal argument's name is I. And in the for loop, I declare another I. These have the same name. One is a formal argument. One is declaration inside of this for loop. Your guess is? Well, I'm going to say you got it right. Yeah, you can't do it because this I is in scope all the way down to here, okay? So I can't declare this I here that has the same name. It just won't work. Now, we're going to talk about instance fields here. Instance fields are those things inside of a class at the top, usually is where we declare them by convention. It's a variable that is accessible anywhere within the class, and it has a name. And you know what? Java does something pretty cool, and it decides that when you declare a variable, that you're allowed to declare a variable of the same name as the instance field, and it will let you do it. That means you can declare a local variable with the same name as an instance field. But that also means the local variable hides the instance field. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean it hides? What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, we're going to use this variable to help us out, okay? So this variable with this dot, notice that dot back there, it's pretty important. It refers to the instance that I'm talking about. I don't know what you mean. Well, every instance of an object has an address. This is that address of the object that I'm talking about. Here we go. The instance field here is shoe size. Okay, that means every time I create an object that is of type person, I create a person object, she has her own shoe size, okay? Her very own shoe size. And when I call my constructor person, and I pass in the shoe size, wouldn't it be nice if I could call it shoe size because that's what it is? But if I declare this shoe size here, and I use the variable shoe size, then this shoe size is out of scope. But if I want to yank it back in so I can still reference it, I use this dot. This dot says go to the object and get the instance field off of this object and I want you to set the instance field to the value that it was passed in the constructor. Cool. So now I'm able to pull it into scope, and I'm able to differentiate between this shoe size and this shoe size. Oh, but that shoe size and this shoe size. Okay, this is this, that is that. So I can use it in any method if I want to. So for example here, when I declare my constructor and I use the shoe size, I'm required to use this dot shoe size if I want to refer to the instance field shoe size. However, when I grow my feet by a certain size here, I can still use this if I want to. This shoe size will refer to this shoe size. But if I take this out, it'll still work because it knows that there's within this scope, the only shoe size within this scope is the instance field. In this scope, there are two shoe sizes, this one here and this one here. So wait, I forgot. Is this dot right here, this one right here, is that required? Do I have to use this one? Nope, I do not. Completely optional. Will this compile? Yes, it makes sense. It will compile. All right. Now, that this variable with no dot whatsoever, what are you talking about? You're confusing me. This right here, this with no dot, this is the address of the object that I'm talking about. So I can, in a shopping cart class, call an instance method, notice no static here, place order. What I can do is I can go to the order class, right down here, that has a static method. That's why I'm able to go order dot, the static method, and I can say call the method create order on the order class. Order, static, create order. All right, so far so good. Hey, this requires an argument of type shopping cart. You passed in this. But I'm within the scope of a shopping cart class. This refers to the address of the object of type shopping cart. This is a shopping cart. This, with no dot, is a shopping cart, is the address of a shopping cart, is an object of type shopping cart. When I call this method, totally gets passed in. Absolutely work. We're working miracles here. Very, very cool. All right, I have an ugly way to call this method. This is a constructor brain torture class. I can pass in P, Q, and R, and I have instance fields A, B, and C. I don't like it. Wouldn't it be nicer if I could just pass in A, B, C? Yes. Then I go this A, this B, and then, C is actually my static field. It's a little easier if you were to see this in a full-on class. All right, this is a little bit confusing. I need to correct that. All right, so now you need to go on fourth. I want you to know that right here, this is your passion. You need to bring this with you.